Hi and welcome to Whisky Shared. You're watching my review of Jameson 18-year-old Bow Street Edition. I'm Toby and you're watching Whisky Shared. Welcome to my review of Jameson 18-year-old Bow Street Edition. This particular whisky is a cask strength version of Jameson which is aged for 18 years. It's made up of single pot still and grain whiskies, which have been aged in ex-bourbon and ex-sherry casks. It's then married for 6 months at the Bow Street Distillery, which is now a visitor attraction. This particular whisky is a 70cl bottle. It's cask strength and bottled at 55.1% ABV, and it's non-chill filtered. It retailed for £175 and comes in a wooden presentation box with a commemorative coin. Should we find out what it tastes like? On to the whisky. So before I start nosing and tasting, let's have a quick look at the colour. I'd say that is like a copper, but potentially it is coloured as it doesn't say so anywhere on the bottle. Let's start with the nose. Right, so the first thing I get in the nose with this is like treacle. I'm getting like red apples. There's some like honey sweetness. I'm getting icing sugar as well. And there is the slightest hint of ethanol. Let's move on to the palate. Yeah, so this has a really nice mouthfeel. It really is very oily. It's got lots of texture in there, unlike a normal Jameson whiskey. There's sherry. You definitely get the sherry influence with this, and that brings rich, dark soaked fruits. Really is fruity. In terms of ABV though, at 55.1%, I would say this is not overly hot on my palate. It really is deceptive. There is a bit of heat, but it's not overly hot for a 55% dram, basically. Let's have another sip. Yeah, that sherry definitely brings a little bit of tannins. It is ever so slightly tannic on the mouth, but it does seem delicate for, as I said before with the ABV. It doesn't seem overly hot, but this does have a softness to it. It's very, very well rounded. So yeah, that's really interesting. There is some vanilla sweetness in there, which is nice. A bit like the icing sugar I was picking up on the nose. There is that sort of sweetness that just sort of lingers the whole time, which is really nice. Let's have one final sip. Yeah, so I'm starting to get like a cherry note, very reminiscent of what I pick up on bourbons. There really is a nice sort of maraschino cherry note in there. There's like orchard fruits like apples, which is nice, and there is a hint of cereal, which is reminded me of like oats. It's yeah, really is like soft oats. In terms of finish, well, I'd say there's like a medium length finish with this. It's not too long. I think the flavours last a reasonable length of time on the palate. But there is a little bit of dry wood. There is a hint of ethanol that lingers with that finish. And there is some dark chocolate, which is really nice. But in terms of value, well, this was £175 when I got it must have been towards the end of 2019. This is the 2019 edition, and as far as I'm aware, since 2018 they've launched an edition every year, but they only do one batch a year, so everybody that has this bottle at this ABV, it's the same batch. And I know what you're thinking, this is expensive. Well, it is expensive, and I am a fan of Jameson and Middleton whiskies, but it's interesting because at the time they also had a standard 18-year-old, which came in a very similar box. The presentation is fantastic with this. It is slightly better than the standard 18-year-old they had at the time, but obviously you are paying for that presentation. But the standard 18-year-old was 40% ABV, which I think would have catered towards a lot of sort of gift buyers looking for that sort of celebration whiskey, especially if somebody is a fan of Jameson. But interestingly, now the standard 18-year-old is 46% ABV. It doesn't come in as a nicer box, but I think it's quite good that they still do the cask strength version, which is, you know, for the enthusiast. You know, this is an enthusiast whiskey. That's even more expensive now. Obviously, we're 5 years on from that, and you're looking at about £210 UK, which I suppose isn't massively increased compared to how whiskey has been going up. But as far as I'm aware, it's quite difficult to find in the UK. You can't really find the cask strength version, the new cask strength version, easily in the UK. I have found some places that still have the 2018 and 2019 editions, like this one, available for under £200. So you can find them, and obviously if you're inclined you could also find them at auction. Well, this is a bottle that you can see is 5 years old. It isn't finished yet. I don't think I opened it until my birthday, which is November in 2019. So I suppose it's, you know, just under 4.5 years since I opened it. And obviously it's the sort of whiskey that I'm taking my time with, because once it's gone, it's gone. And although I am an enthusiast, I probably wouldn't replace it with this one. I might replace it with a different one. And I do also have the 21-year-old, which I'll put a link in the description if you want to check out my review of that. If you've had this, or the standard 18-year-old, or maybe one of the other cask strength editions from other years, then yeah, let me know in the comments. I'd be interested to hear your thoughts. And obviously this isn't something that most people will go out and buy, but I hope you found it interesting, and I hope it gave you a slightly different perspective from the Jameson brand. Thanks for watching Irish Whiskey Month with me, and I'll see you next time. Sauncha. I hope you enjoyed this video. If you did, why not give it a like or a comment, and please consider subscribing for more videos like this.